And ladies and gentlemen, today has marked a significant day for Faculty of Political Science and Social Sciences, University of Pajajaran, and Faculty of Social Sciences, Ljubljana University. With the help of the ambassador of Republic of Indonesia to Slovenia, Austria, and some UN agencies in Vienna, several years ago, we, both Universitas Pajajaran and Martha still remember, Ljubljana University have agreed to sign a cooperation agreement in teaching and some research activities in 2017. I have talked with Marsha. It is very memorable time for me because on the 29th November 2017, it was the first time I visit Ljubljana, as well as it was the first time I saw snowball fall down directly from skies, because I arrived when winter, right? So yeah, we will visit again to Ljubljana and Croatia and Serbia and Belgrade, maybe in the summer or maybe in the spring seasons, right? Okay, and yeah, and after 5 years, finally we can welcome our beloved guests from Slovenia, Serbia, and Croatia, and I hope this event today will continue our cooperations in teaching and research activities. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we especially higher education institution and global society have faced two kind of disruption. I mean, at least we have two kind of disruption. It is COVID-19 pandemic disruption and digital technology disruption, and it's changed our method, our strategy, our policy, especially in business process in higher education. So if we have to change the mindset, the strategy. If we do not doing this transformation, and we will be like Nokia. Yeah, we will be like Nokia. We will not exist again in the future. So I think cooperative partnership has become more and more significant for us to address the challenges from the disruption. And I hope that fruitful cooperation between us will be continue and strengthened. And thank you, and I'm very happy to know that during the visit today, we have something like a seminar or lecture from very reputable speakers. Thank you for the speakers for coming here today and share us the information and the maybe the knowledge about the governance and development issues from the perspective of European and Indonesian experiences. So for the student and all participants, please engage in this meeting today. So I hope the student also will engage in our next cooperation, both in teaching and research activities. So thank you again for our distinguished guests, and enjoy the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Widya. Okay, the next agenda is very interesting to know.
Can I join with the audience?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next agenda is very, very interesting to know closer about Slovenia and also University of Ljubljana, especially Faculty of Social Science. So now we have the first University Master of Science as the System Directorate. Head of the Local Self-Government Division, Non-Governmental Organization and Political System Directorate, Ministry of Public Administration. And also the second we have Masha Kalembran, Master of Science, as the Head of International Relations Office, Faculty of Social Science, University of Ljubljana. Please welcome Yuri Mesek and Masha Kalembran.
I hope I can sit here with you. Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you very much. So, thank you for such a lovely introducing. My name is Yuri.
It's online actually.
I see. Okay, I hope they will hear me. So, thank you very much. I'm Yuri Mesek. As a former student of Faculty of Social Sciences, I'm a sociologist. I was asked to introduce you a little bit with the country where we come from, and for the very beginning, respectful Dean, Vidya, okay, Excellencies, guests, dear students, my colleagues, I consider it a great honor for me to be able to welcome you on this event. On behalf of the Slovenian delegation. I was asked to introduce a little bit about the country. I hope that the slides will now go on. It's for someone coming from Indonesia, our country is really so small. It's in the heart of Europe, where the Alps meets Mediterranean and the Pannonian Plain meets Karst. So we consider our country to be in the middle of Europe. And this is the presentation now. I won't be long as much as 5 minutes. Because Masha asked me that she has something else important to say. But for the very beginning, our country looks like a hen, a chicken. So we sometimes making jokes about our country. But now you can see where the Slovenia is placed. Hello. In the next slide, I have some figures about Slovenia. I won't read them because it could be boring, as our Cecilia said that could be boring. Yes, but let's focus now on the topic we are here. I would like to say that we are very glad to be here, and we will enjoy the whole working day with you. Thank you very much, and I hope we will succeed with the day very, very much. Thank you again. Yes, it's your place now.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe we can just show a couple of pictures to see our country. You've been there, yeah. So we can do a little bit of promotion also. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. We are very happy to be here in Indonesia, finally, after 5 years of our partnership. We've been here since now 80 days, and we really enjoy our days here in Indonesia, and we really enjoy getting to know the country and the culture and all the aspects of this beautiful country. Maybe Yura didn't mention a lot, but we consider our country as very diverse, and but now we see what does it mean to have a widely diverse country of Indonesia. So our country, we are like you could see, very small, only 2 million people. So I don't know, we cannot even compare it to Bandung. It's even more inhabitants. So there are different dimensions. But still, University of Ljubljana is the largest university in Slovenia. We only have 4 public universities. It is the oldest university. It was established in 1919, and I can also say it's the best university in Slovenia. Indeed, we are among top 3 according to the Shanghai ranking. So we have around 40,000 students, 6,000 employees, and we are very internationally engaged. So we have also around 3,000 international students studying with us as degree students, and every year we accept around 2,000 exchange students, so who do only the study abroad with us. Those are, the majority are European Union students because they receive the grants, but we also have students from all over the world. We are a comprehensive university, meaning that we actually offer all the study areas, natural sciences, technology, medicine, health sciences, engineering, fine arts and art, and of course also humanities and social sciences. So all these fields are covered in more than 150 bachelor and less than 200 master degree programs, as well as 21 PhD programs. We are also a very research-oriented university. In fact, we are also the largest scientific research institute in Slovenia. 30% of all registered researchers are actually employed at the University of Ljubljana. So all the professors are at the same time also researchers, but we also have only researchers working at the university. So as you can see those figures, we are involved in more than 200 national but also international research programs, mostly funded by the EU. Thank you. Next one. And this is our faculty. The University of Ljubljana is a non-campus university, so we don't have such a huge and nice campus as you do, but the faculties are actually spread all over the city. In the city center there is the main building and the rectorate with few faculties, and our faculty, Faculty of Social Sciences, is on the outskirts of Ljubljana, and next door, so to say, is also the Faculty of Public Administration, which is going to join the MOU this year as well. Then also School of Business and Economics, Education, Social Work, so this is a small campus, so to say. We are actually as old as your faculty, I would say. We were established in 1961, so we just celebrated our 60th anniversary. You are 5 years older or something like that, so that's also interesting to see. But we have less students, 2,000 students at the moment. In the past we had more students, around 5,000. Now this number is going down a little bit. And we have around 300 employees altogether, staff and faculty. As I mentioned, we have also our own in-house research institute. Later on, I'm going to show you also the research centers that we have. As we are a non-campus university, every faculty has its own library, and this our library is the largest social sciences library in Slovenia. We also have our own publishing house. We have an art gallery. So actually, when you come, we will show you everything that we have. Also our art gallery. So just to understand, we are in interdisciplinary faculty. So what we offer, or our departments, are beside the Department of Political Science, which is actually relevant for you. We have also Department of Sociology, communication and cultural studies. So students can choose between 12 study programs. So we have chairs for theoretical and political science, international relations, public administration and policy analysis, as well as defense studies. And we are here, the sociologists actually present here, so we have a Department of Sociology, so they come from the chair of Organizational and Human Resource Management and Development chair. Then we have also theoretical sociology, which is also a study area that you cover. We are also very strong in the methodology and social informatics. All the journalists actually come also from our faculty, as we have also a study program of journalism, media studies, marketing, and also cultural studies, which is another faculty here, if I understand correctly. And maybe I have to mention also the chair of foreign languages. We have one lecturer here with us today. All the students have to learn also 1, 2, or even 3 foreign languages during their studies. So we offer, besides English and German, also French, Italian, Spanish, Russian. And for example, international relations students, they have to learn 3 foreign languages. Besides Slovenian, but those languages are they don't study the language, but it is the language for specific purposes according to their study program. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we have a 3-year bachelor study, 2 years master study, and a 4-year PhD studies. Just go on so that I'm not. Maybe I could draw your attention to our 4 master programs which are run completely in English. So you will see later we have a lot of international students from all over the world that usually study within those 4 master programs that are run in English. However, for our exchange students, we offer around 60 courses, elective courses from the whole faculty, so they can choose, they have enough choice to choose the courses in English language. We have also some double degree programs, joint programs with our partners in Europe. And what I would want to mention also our interdisciplinary doctoral program, which is also the whole program run in English. Maybe you can go on. So this is the program Humanities and Social Sciences, which is run with other faculties of the University of Ljubljana, and those are the 34 study areas that we offer. I don't want to go through all of them, just that you have an idea which study areas you can choose as PhD student with us. So this here you can see how many international students we have. So it is actually 10% of our students are international students. A lot of them, as I mentioned, also PhD students, and the number of students is increasing every year, as you can see. And this graph shows the international exchange students. You can see that our students are not so keen in going abroad, so we send every year around 100 students, but especially European students really like University of Ljubljana, so they really like coming to us. As you can see, we receive much more students than we send out, and this number is always about 200, except for the pandemic year, 2020-21. As I mentioned, our Social Sciences Research Institute, actually every chair, every program has at least 1, 2, or 3 research centers, and here those research centers are listed. I don't want to be too long, so just to get an idea, what do we offer. So for all the students that are interested in studying with us as PhD, master students, but also coming just for a study abroad for a semester, you can always contact me. There are also some contacts about study in Slovenia, and soon we are going to renew our MOU, so of course you are very welcome to Slovenia and to our faculty. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Masya, for your nice information. Maybe some students here or maybe lecturers want to continue your study, master or doctoral. It's okay, Masya? Okay, maybe after this event, you can contact her for further information. Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. Thank you, Masya and jury. And okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we arrive to our main agenda. This is international seminar on governance and development issues in the Global South and Global North. And now we have a moderator, and our moderator today is one of the proud young lecturers from International Relations Study Program, as well as the head of the International Affairs of Faculty of Social Science and Political Science, Universitas Pajajaran. And please welcome Anggia Utami Dewi, PhD.
Thank you for the very great introduction. So thank you, Ibu Nuril. She's also one of our brightest pupil that we have as a lecturer in our faculty. So, okay. I really would like to thank to all guests and participants who already come today, particularly, of course, the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Pajajaran. We also have our Vice Deans of Academic Affairs, and also for the Human Resources Affairs. Pak Benny, can you say hi over there? Okay. And then Prof. Ida will be joining us in today's seminar. And also we have so many professors, the head of departments, the head of programs. As maybe we know, also in our faculty, we also have undergraduate programs, 8 programs, 9 programs actually, also in one campus. And then also like 8 programs for master degree, and also 4 programs for doctoral degrees, all in social and political sciences. So we have around 25 study programs as well as research centers. So as well, all the managers also we have here, Ibu Erna, Pak Buhori, and then Pak Cecep over there. Okay. Yes, Cecep Gorbachev. Okay, this one is Cecep Barkah, not Cecep Gorbachev. So we are really thankful for all the leaders, senior managers in our faculties, professors, faculty members. They are really keen to speak for strengthening the cooperation between Ljubljana and Faculty of Social and Political Science, Pajajaran University. So we are so happy to have you here. And all distinguished participants, of course, the students from undergraduate level and graduate level students. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to you all. So it's a little bit introduced in the beginning. My name is Anggia Utami Dewi, and I'm actually, my affiliations on the Department of International Relations, but then I'm also serving as the head of internationalization units at the faculty. So I've been contacting and been in touch with Masya for quite maybe not really long time, several months, and then finally we come to today event. So I'm very pleased to see you, all of you here, and welcome you to this special seminar with the title Governance and Development Issues in the Global South and Global North. And this is the event which is arranged by our faculty, of course with the collaboration with the Faculty of Social Science, Ljubljana University. And we have 3 speakers today, so I will welcome one by one, all of you. So first we have Professor Alexandra Kanyua Marcella. Please give a round of applause for Professor Alexandra from the Faculty of Social Science. As well, we have Professor Miroljub Ignantovic. Pardon if I wrongly pronounce your name, also from the Faculty of Social Science, University of Ljubljana. And we have our professor, Professor Ida Widyaningsih, from the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Pajajaran. So before we come to the main agenda, please allow me to briefly introduce the biography of our speakers today. So Professor Alexandra, next to me, she is a professor of economic sociology and sociology of work, and she is also the head of research Center for Organization and Human Resources, as well as the chair of steering committee of the Council of Doctoral Studies at the European University Association. Education. She is also the editor of the Social Politics International Journal for the Studies in Gender, State, and Society. And her fields of interest are gender, labor markets, platform economy, as well as doctoral education. So welcome, Professor Alexandra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then the second speaker we have today, Professor Miroljub Ignantovic. He is an assistant professor at the chair for the Organizational Human Resources and at the Center for Organizational and Human Resource Research. And his research are on the labor market, employment, industrial relations, and partnership. So two of you will be representing from the Global North perspectives, labor market in the Europe and then gender inequality in Europe. And the last speaker, we have Professor Idia Windianingsi. She is a professor in International Development Administration and currently serving as the Vice Dean for Academics, Students, and Research Affairs at the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Pajajaran. And her research interests mainly are in public administration and development, particularly in the area of decentralizations and good governance, participatory approaches in development, poverty alleviation policy, and international donors policies and public management, particularly in the case of developing countries. And participants, let us now move forward to the lecture section, which will be given in around 10 minutes per each, because this is a very special one. So let's make it compact, but then fruitful discussion after. And we will begin with Professor Alexandra, and then Professor Ignantovic, and then finally Professor Ida. I will share the presentation from my laptop. So you may begin. Let's give a round of applause to the speakers.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. As Masha said, we are here already several days and we saw many of beauties of your great country. And welcome my beloved
Professor Darmansyah Jumalan. Yeah, welcome. He was the ambassador for Indonesia to Austria and Slovenia. So I'm sorry, okay.
I'm glad that you entered the room when I started to talk.
Okay, please, you may have the seat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start sharing the screen. This is the right presentation,
yes,
correct,
this is the
right?
right
Okay, thank you. Professor Alexandra.
Thank you. So I already said that we had the pleasure to see already a lot of this beautiful country we are invited to, and we also were hosted by different institutions, your parliament, Chamber of Commerce, NGOs, but coming to the university is like coming home. So I feel here at home. So I'm really glad that I can greet all of you, dear colleagues, professors, dear students. It is great to be at the university. So my topic, I will start to speak about women and men in Europe and gender equality. I think that gender equality is something that is an important development issue that connects us in thinking about governments and international development. I will focus on my field of work, on economics, on family and politics, and I will tell you something about the gender equality, how we think about gender equality, how we try to develop gender equality in Europe and Slovenia, what are the trends and what are thank you. What are the trends and what are the still existing problems? So gender equality is very high on the agenda in Europe. So we do have gender equality as stated goal, as a social value. We had it in our strategic documents. We do pay attention to it. But however, there are still many existing gender gaps. So we do have gaps in economic activities, in both paid and unpaid work, in family and private life, and also in important positions of power. We do monitor how well we are doing regarding gender equality, and I wanted to present one tool that we in Europe established, that is Gender Equality Index. Gender Equality Index was developed by European Institute of Gender Equality, and it gives us an opportunity to monitor different areas of life important for both women and men in their private and public lives. We cover with, it is a complex indicators. It is a complex index that have many different indicators in 6 dimensions: work, money, knowledge, time, power, and health. And we will develop in next 2 years monitoring on violence. So importance of this index is, it is complex, it is not precise, but it still gives some indication where we are, and it gives an indication, if you go to the next slide, how different we are actually. The state of gender equality across European Union is not all the same everywhere. It is also a good tool that compare us, and we do compete a little bit to each other, and we also see, and our politicians and social policy makers see which parts of this complex index, which dimensions of gender equality, where we are better, where we are worse, what we should develop better, and how the complex gender equality really is. So you can develop some dimensions, and you can achieve good results in some dimension, but if that is not followed by efforts and changes in other dimensions, the whole index is not going up. So during the years now, 12, 13 years of measuring, we did achieve a lot of progress. It is slow, but still there is a progress. But not in all dimensions at the same time. We did achieve a lot of progress regarding education, for example, and paid work, but still there are some very strong social norms, very strong also institutional frameworks that are not enabling full equality of genders. Now, going to, yes, you can go, saying something about Slovenia. Slovenia, I think it is important for you to understand, we are a very small country, but might be interesting for you because we are, as Jura said, in the heart of Europe, and we were influenced by very different traditions of thinking and developing gender equality and position of women and men in both public and private life. The situation regarding gender equality in Slovenia is influenced, I think, mainly by 3 things. Are the heritage of the former system. We used to be a socialist country, and that was actually very good for gender equality. So after Second World War, ideologically and institutionally, we developed a lot of a basis for real gender equality. So the public life of previously agrar country changed, and both men and women, the labor force were needed, and both men and women entered very equally the public space. That, however, didn't happen in private sphere of our life. So we still do have some changes to be made. The second thing is our entrance in European Union. Recent change. So recently, after 90s, we had triple transition. So we changed our political system, we changed our economic system, and we entered the new political arrangement, the new political coalition. We entered the European Union, and that was also not bad for gender equality, because the framework, institutional framework, legal framework, directives, rules are in favor of gender equality. But at the same time, and the third thing what it is important to know about Slovenia is this entrance in a different economic system. Capitalistic economic system that during the last decades is changing not in the best way for all the people, especially for people, Mira will say more about it. Our labor market is changing, our economy is changing. We were faced with several crises, COVID crisis being the last one, but all these changes in a way of more precarious work, less fixed employment, more demanding and flexible working arrangements are hard for all the people in the labor market, but especially for people with private responsibilities, care responsibilities, and that are mainly still women more than men. So regarding the index, I will not go through all of this, but we are good in economic performance. Unfortunately, the gender pay gap, where we used to be really excellent, we used to have almost no gender pay gap, we are developing it now. So that crisis, this new system of economic arrangements are not doing a good favor for gender equality. Yes? So I already mentioned this, and this you can read more maybe later. I will share my slides, but that is a very important thing for women in Slovenia. So they are both very much active in this almost the same way as men at the labor market, full-time jobs, really hard-working women at the labor market in the economy, but at the same time very much involved. Both men and women are very much burdened with care responsibilities and domestic work. We like our houses to be very clean, very nice. We are very hospitable. So we do burden ourselves with different parts of our responsibilities. And that is in accordance with traditional gender roles, more a burden for a woman that look like Shiva with many hands doing many things at the same time. Now, in my next slide, I am pointing to something that I think is really very important regarding changing thinking about gender equality in Europe recently in last decades and in Slovenia as well. So we are starting to think about more than before targeting men and not only women when striving for more of gender equality. So we are still seeing women as victims of traditional norms, as those being burdened twice and so on. But we not only think how to empower women, but also how to empower men to break with the tradition. Several years ago, then Prime Minister and also our colleague from our university, Miro Cerar, said what was on the previous slide, that men and boys, that inequalities are some it is probably okay. No, I thought that is a sign. Speak. No. So he said that we should support men and young boys to be agent of change. Okay, maybe this slide is not the best one. Technology doesn't like it. Okay, so change should be driven, of course, by women, but also by men, because in some areas, men are actually discriminated against. If you want to take part actively in parenthood, it is harder for men than for women. If you want to take part in some of the activities that are feminized and seen as activities for women, then it's much harder for young young men to enter. For example, those are our main problems. So main problems are considering these norms that don't allow men to change in a way to be more equal to women. One of the important, yes, you can go on. One of the important parts of achieving gender equality is breaking with violence. And again, here, I think that both women should be empowered, and we think at the level of the European Union and also in politics in Slovenia, that at the same time you should think how to empower women and girls not to be victimized, but also how to empower men not to develop this, we say, toxic masculinities. So masculinities, types of being a man that is hurting other people, but also men themselves. Yes. One other important area is, as I said, allowing men to be as much parents as women. So allowing employers to see their male employees in the same position when they have children as female employees. To allow young men to use. We do have very good social policies in this area. We do allow, and some of these policies are new, so we always did have very much like Sweden, for example, that is very well known about regarding social policies supporting active parenthood and balancing private and public life. We also have some new policies now empowering men. So we do have maternal leave, parental leave, but also specific paternity leave. So in enabling work-life balance for both men and women. We met Puteri Komaradun Angeta, your very young female MP in the parliament, and she shared with us a very nice story that she named her firstborn child after our first female prime minister, Alenka Bratušek. Yes, so importance, it is very important both substantially but also symbolically to have strong women at the very important and high political positions. And last year we were in a special situation. We gained we got 3 very high position women in our politics. So we do have, for the first time in history, female president of the state, Ms. Natasha Pirc-Musar. Then we have head of the parliament, Urška Klakočar-Zupančić, and our foreign minister is also a woman, Ms. Tanja Fajon. So, and now I would like to close by saying that this is very important to have strong women at the strong political positions. We should do the same in the economy. Here we do have a lot to do. And the newest European directive is asking about balance in power in economic positions as well. So we will like to change our economic norms regarding gender equality as well, but we do still have challenges, and especially, as I said, to fight stereotypes that are affecting men. So we should let women be police officers and directors, not only in music but also in the economy, but also let men take care of their children or elderly people, so be active in parts of the economy and society that they're seen as feminized. So I would like to close my presentation here, and I really hope that later on we will have the opportunity to exchange ideas and to find out how maybe we can learn from you, your experiences, and vice versa. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Prof. Alexandra. I think it's really wonderful. We definitely can exchange after this. In our faculty, we have so many lecturers, faculty members, professors who are engaged in gender-related issues research in Indonesia. So hopefully we have plenty of time to discuss after. So before we go to the discussions at the end, let's go to the second presentation. I'll check the PPT first before we go. So we will have, I think this one. We will move from talking about gender to the talk about the labor market in Europe. So we will have Professor Ignatovic who will present us about the Slovenian labor market in Europe. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for the warm welcome in Indonesia and also here at the faculty or at the university. My goal today is to present to you some characteristics of Slovenian and European market. Labor market, maybe we can go to the next slide. You probably already know that European labor markets are well regulated, standardized, and they are providing relatively high social security for those that are in the labor market. But things are changing also in this field, as already Alexander said. There are some many changes from the 80s, from the 1980s onwards. Usually we are talking about liberalization, we are talking also about flexibilization and all other trends, modern trends that are affecting also European labor markets. If we are talking about flexibilization, we can also talk about different processes that are inside the flexibilization. One of those processes is redefining the concept of flexi work. We can talk about greater diversity in the labor market. We can also talk about reducing or reducing the borders between the formal and informal work. We can also talk about destandardization of employment forms and work organization. You already know that Slovenia and also European labor markets have much more and still predominant full-time employment with permanent employment, and this is also changing. Many of new forms of employment are for fixed term or very reduced period of time, and this is also affecting Slovenian and also European market. Emergence of new forms of economy, you already have this kind of economy. Many platforms are existing, especially Gojek, for example, in Indonesia, but also Uber, Amazon, and we can talk about new type of capitalism which is using those internet platforms as a mean for gaining new profit and new types of organization. All of these different processes in the labor market also are affecting the social security. We had in Europe from the end of the Second World War, we had a social agreement between social partners in Europe, between representatives of governments, labor, and also employers. And this social agreement was made in order to provide modern welfare state and provide also let's say, relatively high social security for all citizens of those new countries after the Second World War. And this is also changing. This social agreement is affected by all those changes, especially by the demands from the employers' organizations and representatives who are demanding less taxation and more opportunity for competition with other world regions. All of this is, of course, affecting all again the employees or workers in those labor markets. We can talk also about precarity. Guy Standing was talking about this. Kallenberg also is talking about this. You can see here one very important quote about the precarity and precarization of the labor markets in Europe, in which all those new forms of employment and work are uncertain, unstable, and insecure, and are causing also limited social security for those who are in those types of employment and work. Now I will present some facts about Europe and Slovenia. You can see here that, as I already said, we still have relatively highly regulated labor markets in Europe. Full-time employment shares of full-time employment are very high for many of those member states of European Union, with the exception of, let's say, more developed countries like Germany, Norway, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. In those countries, new forms of work are already in these labor markets. Please. The next slide is showing the different types of flexible forms of employment and work in Europe. You can already see that there is a very high diversity between member states. On the one side, again, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Norway have very high shares of part-time employment. Exception is maybe the Netherlands, in which it has not only high shares of part-time employment, but also high shares of fixed-term employment and also self-employment. You can see also that different countries in Europe have different shares or different modes of flexible employment. We can talk about Spain and Portugal, in which those countries have higher shares of fixed-term employment. We can also talk about Greece and maybe Poland. Those two countries have more self-employment. Just one click, please. Okay. So you can also see where Slovenia is. Slovenia is relatively still a very regulated country. We have maybe slightly more higher shares of fixed-term employment and self-employment, but part-time is still already growing also in Slovenia. Please, next slide. Different groups of citizens and different groups in the labor market are differently affected by the flexibilization. You can see here that youth in Slovenia is particularly affected by the fixed-term employment contracts. Slovenia is currently at the second place, just behind the Netherlands. Please, next slide. All those different kinds of different forms of flexible employment already are affecting also the social security of those people who are in those kinds of flexible employment. You can see here that full-time employment and permanent employment still are giving very high social security, or are giving, those people are less probable to find themselves in the poverty. On the other hand, especially people in Slovenia who are self-employed have a much higher probability to be in the poverty, below the poverty level. Again, if you compare, if you add also the unemployed people in this comparison, we can say that again, any kind of activity on the labor market is still giving much less probability for the poverty to getting to the below the poverty level than in the case of the unemployed people. Regarding the unemployment, we have also low unemployment rate in Slovenia. You can see here that we have much lower rates than, let's say, Greece or Spain. This is a favorable position for Slovenia, but maybe next slide. This is also the last slide. But we already had in our history some increases or some peaks of unemployment. As you can see here, we had three spikes of unemployment in the, let's say, from the 1960s onwards. This low number of registered unemployment on the left side of this graph is the period of socialism, and with just yes, this is also just go back. Yeah, but you can see. No. Sorry. Okay, you can see that in the beginning of the 90s, with the transition to the market economy and with the disintegration of the former Yugoslavia, we had a really high spike of unemployment, mostly because of many of Slovenian companies were tied with the labor markets, Yugoslavian labor market. And the loss of this Yugoslavian labor market produced this high spike of unemployment. The second spike is related with the global economic crisis in 2008, and the smallest spike is produced by the pandemic from 2020. Okay, this is my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Professor Miroljub. I think it's wonderful we can get to see like the other type of data, a lot of data, and then we can show the trends. We can see how like some things affect the cases of the labor market in Europe. And for the next presentation, which is the last presentation today, we will have the presentation from Professor Ida Widyaningsih with the title Trajectory of Community Network in Indonesia, focusing on the policy framework and grassroots movement. Professor Ida, you may have the floor. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Ibu Anggi. Good morning, everyone. It is great to have you here. The whole team, almost the whole team here, and it is nice to have some speech from two of the lectures on the issues in the global north. So I would like to share one of my research on connecting the unconnected. This is part of our cooperation with Common Room. Actually, we will visit Common Room later. So this is actually part of the research. And good morning also to those listen to our conversation online. There are around 92 participants online on Zoom. Hello to everyone. I think we will have we will give them opportunity to ask as well, and they can keep, you can type the question later. As I mentioned earlier, actually, my talk is related to the digital transformation process in Indonesia. Because if we look at the data, at this moment, Indonesia, as well as other countries in the world, we are also adopting the connectivity, and we are using internet. So, however, I think that we can find very interesting feature in the context of Indonesia, because Anggi, could you please move a little bit? That's fine. The next one? Yeah, yes, please. I mean that if you look at the data at the global level, it is clear that actually the development of internet users are quite significant. So Indonesia also sharing the same experience. So especially after the COVID-19, in 2018, for example, there are around 64.80% of Indonesian connected to the internet, and by 2022, the number actually increased up to 77.02%. So the significant increase of internet penetration, unfortunately, did not actually occur in every place, in every region. This is actually a similar feature with, if we can look at this data, we can see that there are so many people in this world, everyone actually almost connected to the internet. However, we can see who are actually the users of the internet, and we can see not all of us actually well connected. So there are some issues related to the digital divide. So this is the data of top 10 most disconnected people, and Indonesia actually on the list. So only 38% of Indonesian at this moment connected to the internet, and we can see the data of like India and almost in Asia Pacific region, people is not really connected to the internet. Next slide, please. Okay, so our research actually conducted in West Java, and we will, our research actually using participatory action research. So we are not really doing research for report or article or international journal, but we are doing research to develop community. So we are doing some intervention, and we support people, especially in remote areas and indigenous community. So that's the place. So why we think that it is important to establish our research, as I previously mentioned, there are only around 30% Indonesian connected to the internet, and this is actually the feature of the data of population in Indonesia in each province, how many of them actually have internet connection. Of course, West Java a little bit fine, but the rest of Indonesia are still very problematic. Next slide, please. So this is also the data in 2020 and 2021. So the development is not really significant. We still have some problem with the access to the internet. Next slide, please. Because actually, of course, we appreciate Indonesian government effort to develop Indonesia. We have population of Indonesia actually 277.7 million in January 2022, and then only and 49.7% Indonesia population is female, and we I think we need some women because 50.3% of Indonesia actually male, and out of that, and it is we can see that Indonesian population tend to stay in urban region, but less number of people of Indonesia actually live in rural areas. Next, please. So talking about the internet in Indonesia, actually Indonesian government has a very good concern on regulation of information and communication technology, or ICT Indonesia. Actually, Indonesia start to introduce the regulation since 1963, and also the government released an Act number 5 in 1964 on telecommunication. However, in regard of internet, Indonesian government also released so many different policies on that, and of course Indonesian government also introduced new arrangement, new governance and new institution to deal with this issue. But I just highlight some important regulation related to the internet. For example, law number 36, 1999 on telecommunication. This is actually the law talking about building the competitive ecosystem for the community and also stakeholders to involve in doing business on telecommunication. As well, the government also introduced the regulation number 52 in 2000 on telecommunication operation, internet service reselling regulation. So there are also some other regulation. However, when we look at the data of Indonesia, Indonesian people access to the internet, there are still so many gap. Not all Indonesians have a very good access to the internet, but we also can notice there are some supporting policies on internet development in Indonesia, including the law on informatic and electronic transaction to overcome negative impact of global communication. And we also notice there is some regulation endorsed by the Ministry of Home Affairs related to the village own enterprises, BUMDesma, and also there is some other opportunities for Indonesian government at local level to support the development of the internet that actually can target some remote and disadvantaged region in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is actually one of the most important policy of Indonesian government. So Indonesia introduced the Palaparing project so Indonesia considered the infrastructure not only physical infrastructure but also internet considered as important. So in 2016 and 2019 period, so the government developed undersea fiber optic cable stretches across 13,000 kilometers and also onshore network of nearly 22,000 kilometers. This will provide fast broadband internet to the Indonesian in both urban and rural area across the country. So with this project, at least 90 Indonesian district and municipalities, kabupaten and kota, actually can already have access to the internet. Next slide. And apart from that, Indonesian government also introduced so many different programs, including National Movement on Digital Literacy. It is actually old program, but they start to improve it on the 16th April 2001 about digital literacy skill project. And we also can recognize some community group that actually working with the government, either funded by government or by international donors or NGOs. They are working together with the community and government to improve the access to the internet. Next slide. Okay, so the data of who are actually the internet users in Indonesia. So in January, we recorded there are around 204.7 million internet users in Indonesia, and this number actually made Indonesia have a better penetration rate, so at least 73.7% of the total population started in 2002. So the KPI analysis also found that Indonesia user actually increased 2.1 million or more or less 1% between 2001 and 2002. So but with this number, we remember we have such big number of population, and 26 6.3% of our population still left behind. So the issues when COVID come to Indonesia, this issue become more problematic. Next, please. So this is part of Indonesian. So how actually Indonesian government giving service to the community? Indonesia allows for biggest telecommunication company to operate in Indonesia. And you can see the red shade actually when the network concentrated. But you can see most part of Indonesia actually still in green. So it means that they don't really have good access to the internet. And these big companies, of course, because they are private sector, they are only interested in putting investment in some location that actually giving them benefit. But what is actually happening with people outside the red areas? And I think that COVID-19 pandemic outbreak revealed a huge gap in many different areas, not only in digital divide, but also development gap in very broad sense. Rural area, remote places, and underserved communities got multiple impact, along with widening of rural-urban development gap, climate change, poverty, and gender-based violence, and so many development issues. Next. So this is some example of poor mine public services. Actually, we conducted some research, and this is the note we found that, we see that in terms of economic recovery, we see that there is unequal access to digital economy. Only 68% of total population in Indonesia have access to digital economy, and in terms of public service, there are still so many village. 12,548 out of 83,000 something village actually had no access to the internet. And in terms of education services, in West Java alone, at least 42,000 students in West Java province had no access to online learning materials. So this is very bad because during the COVID-19, the school actually closed. So actually we lost our generation for around 2 years. University also having the same experience. We closed our university and we just started again. Yeah, so we think that we still have the problem what we call as digital divide in Indonesia, and there are so many problems due to the diverse geographical condition, limited supply of electricity sources, because not all Indonesians actually have access to electricity. How could we have internet without electricity? And also internet infrastructures only concentrated in some areas, Java and some bigger region, and some community also in remote places face difficulty obtaining affordable tools, including the inability to produce local content and knowledge, and lack of digital skill literacy, as well as gender gap. So actually, if you read Indonesian news, actually kind of 2 weeks or last month, I think because we conducted research in a small community and indigenous community, we could establish local community network with very small amount of money. Compared to Indonesian project, it was 1,000 times cheaper. So this is why if you read some headline, there were some corruption issues on the building of the tower, transmission tower. So I understand that we suspect that happened because our project, for example, we could set up the network for local community only with 10 million Indonesian rupiah, but Indonesian government will need at least 1 billion. Okay, 10 million compared to 1 billion. So I think that there was something happening, and yes, 2 weeks or last month, we found out there is a huge corruption in building the tower. Well, I will share what we did in the community level. Next, please. So, actually, our initiative started as early as mid-1990s at the time. If you're talking about community network in Indonesia, you have to know this person, Ono Purbo. He used to be a student in Muhammadiyah Malang University, and he was actually the one who started working on community connection. At that time, he established Warung Internet. Warung is a small shop internet because he understand that internet was so expensive at the time. So he set up like a retail, set up an internet at neighborhood level, and then giving opportunity for his college student to use internet. So because of him, so he worked so hard, and then finally, at least one important thing happening is in 2005, Indonesian government formalized the use of 2.4 gigahertz frequency for the community. So it is not legal if you are using 2.4 gigahertz frequency at the time. So next, please. So, however, even though the idea started in 2005, actually there's still some challenge in terms of community network. As I mentioned earlier, the Indonesia are very huge because of the diversity and the geography. So the government couldn't provide internet to everyone. So the community network actually the alternative for the community to have access to the internet because they also need some services. So the government policy providers of internet service is limited only to state-owned enterprises, local government-owned enterprises, private sector, cooperative. So community network practice at this moment still hardly recognized in Indonesian policy framework. So the governments most of the time considered community network as illegal. In 2019, the Ministry of Information and Telecommunication enacted a regulation number 13, 2019, and this is actually opening a possibility for any parties to develop a partnership with the internet service provider and become a reseller and legal vendor. However, it is still complicated. Okay, so yeah, just next. But I think there's still some power relation issue. This is the example. When you set up internet for community, then you might be ended in jail. So this is our research conducted in 9 different provinces. Anggi, nggak apa-apa. Just, yeah. Okay, so we set up a community internet school in Indonesia. So it is actually funded by foreign Commonwealth, by UK government, and also we are working with Association for Progressive Communication. This is actually a network not only in Indonesia but also in Asia, Pacific, and Latin America. Next, and our research conducted in 8 different provinces from Aceh to Papua, and this is actually really running by local community. Next slide, Anggi. Sorry, I just try to make it. Okay, this is the principle of our project. So we believe that internet access is the right for everyone. So we try to develop community-based internet infrastructure. It should be legal, safe, affordable, and meaningful for the community. And also we have the pipe L principle. It should be low technology, low energy, low support, low learning curves, and low maintenance, because you couldn't do something sophisticated in the village. So this is one example of our research area. This is in Ciptagar community, indigenous community. So this is very, this is still in West Java, but you can see everything actually conducted by the community. So we just came there, facilitate and teaching them, and then we let them doing everything by their own. So from this project, from the Ciptagar indigenous community, we started to develop this as the pilot project in 2019. The use of the internet in the community for the daily communication, knowledge development, youth and women empowerment, as well as strengthening the
I could say
start to make it quicker. Okay, so the internet actually used in many different variations. As you can see, there are some students working with our volunteers. So the student use it at school, and we also teach the student how to put content on the internet, because based on our research, we found out that most of the time adults interested in this, and the children and women are left behind. And then we also start to do training and teach them how to use internet. Okay, and another project actually is in Mataredi village. This is in East Nusa Tenggara. So this is very beautiful village, beautiful place. Next, Angie. So we conducted some training, and this is very interesting because the School of Community Network in Mataredi, some of them actually couldn't read. This is farmers and unemployed people. But they are keen to learn, and it is amazing to see them finally able to set up the internet. But of course, we need to use local language, and we have to do it very slowly. But at least now the Mataredi, they have internet access. Next, Anggi. So this is the training conducted in Mataredi village. Okay, don't have anything. Okay, so concluding remark. I think that in terms of addressing the global internet news versus digital divide issues, community network are context-specific in nature. So this is very different from area to another. The implementation of the community network program preceded by research and observation that concentrate on the need and the right of the community. So it should be need-based and right-based community network. And the policy support and collaborative governance is needed to make this happen. And the role of multi-stakeholders engagement to improve a more equal internet access and digital skill and digital literacy is needed. So we also wrote a policy recommendation I can share you later to Indonesian government and to the G20. So we had some product including some books and also article as well as policy recommendation for Indonesian government. But this is more or less talking about the coming access meaningful connectivity for inclusive digitalization. So we are not only talking about building infrastructure, but we have to give meaning to be able to have inclusive digitalization. And the right-based and humanitarian approach is needed, and clear regulation on the legal status of community network really urgent, and universal access with meaningful connectivity, as well as to improve human resource quality, skill, and knowledge, and also community and independent need to set up an independent, sustainable community network model. I think that's all. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry for speaking too much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ida, for wonderful presentations. I think we can see that today we had three wonderful development related issues presentations, and I think it's wonderful that we have two different type of views, which is like very diverse. We can see like from Europe, the challenge is also different with more, of course, different social, historical, political contexts, as well as what we have in Indonesia with also a very diverse type of societies. We are Indonesia one. We have almost 300 million of people, and we are so diverse. Yeah, we also cannot speak in each other local language without the unifying language. And then, but yet we can still see the issue of labor market employment. We can see the issues of gender persist everywhere, no matter in the global south, global north. So I think it's very interesting. So because of the time limits, and then we can have informal discussions after this formal session, I will open only to 3 questions. We have already 1 question from the internet, from the participants from Zoom and from, from YouTube. Oh, we have 2 actually. Maybe we'll see. We will have 1. But first, I want to ask 2 questions from the floor today. Maybe from the left side, the center or the right side, please. Okay, we have 1 question. I'll give you the microphone. Okay. Please identify yourself first. Okay.
The microphone is open.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity. The name is
Okay, thank you. So maybe we could collect the questions first, and then you can share the answers. And the second questions, yes, Pa Luangisa, you may have the questions. Do you have the microphone on the center, or you can go in front? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, thank you, Pa Beni. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Ruangisa. I come from the Republic of Tanzania, and I'm student here at the. I have 4 questions. I wanted to ask a question to every speaker who has been speaking here. I don't know if this audience will allow me to do so.
You can have all the questions first, and then we'll see which one we can answer with the time limits.
Okay. Let me start with Professor Ida. It's not just a question, but I want to know what she thinks, because in Tanzania we have a telecommunication company which is called Viettel. It is from Vietnam. It is a company belonging to the army. So when we were visiting the country of Vietnam with my president, we had chance to visit the company headquarters, and then we asked them to come to Tanzania. These people, instead of starting from the town for profit, they agreed to start from the villages. So we have I don't know how you count a village or a rural area, but they started from the villages and are coming back to town. This means that the people in the village or the rural areas are now have got internet access to the maximum. So I don't know what you think about that, if this was to be practiced here in Vietnam, in Indonesia, according to your research. That's one. And then I go to Professor Alexandra. Sorry if I pronounce the name wrongly. The question about Professor Alexandra involves the gender gap. The gender gaps always remain, and in the labor market, women are still overrepresented in lower paid sectors and underrepresented in decision-making positions. I don't know if that is the position in your country, because this is the position in Africa and almost in countries I've been visiting. I don't know what you have to say there. And then another point is about on Professor. I cannot pronounce the name.
Ignantovic. Okay, Miki.
Yeah, Professor Miki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he talked about the labor market in Europe. There is what I have seen in countries, especially in Africa, there is a mismatch between what different companies require and what different job seekers and workers can offer. Now, because our countries are undergoing a structural type of underemployment, how is this in Slovenia? And the last question is about the presenter who presented something about Slovenia, about the country Slovenia. Yes. Yes, because there is a lot of confusion, especially for us who are coming from Africa, on the issue of Slovenia and Slovakia. There is a confusion because the name looks like the same. Even the flags, your flags, especially, maybe the only thing which is different is the center. And even if you pronounce your countries like the Republic of Slovenia and the Republic of Slovakia, I don't know if you are people from different group, like you are all Slavs or what. That's what I want to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all wonderful. I don't know how many questions we have just now, and apparently there are like 2 participants who are raising their hands, but we also have like more than like 3 questions already written on the chat board. So before we forget what the questions were about, I'll let the speakers to answer to each question. So the first one from this side, second one from Bapak Luangisa, it's about the gender issues in the context of society in the Slovenia and how it relates with the labor market. Maybe that first, and then we will go to Prof. Ida to answer about the internet connections problem. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure. That's working.
Okay, thank you for both questions. If I understood you right, you would like to know how gender equality really lives in the society. I cannot speak about the whole Europe, but I will tell you a little bit about Slovenia. It is really a value in the society. So it is supported by the legislation. It is supported in documents. Infrastructure is doing a good job in achieving gender equality. But during the transition, when some rights, women's rights, were endangered, people really reacted in a way. Internationalization was a threat, and women and men supported already achieved rights. So things are changing. We are afraid of deterioration, but some form of mostly and mainly economic among women and men is something that is already there, and it will probably stay as such in the future. And talking about that answers a bit your question as well. So although we do have gender equality as a social value, as something that is achieved, we still do have problems, and segregation at the labor market is one of the main problems, and segregation in different both occupations and parts of hierarchy are producing gender pay gap as well. So to answer both questions at once, we are on the way. We do have something, some rights, some standards that are already achieved, but it is a never-ending fight, and we thought that some things cannot deteriorate, and they did. So it is something, as in the democracy, I would say, you cannot just achieve something and then rest, go to holidays, go to Bali. You have to work all the time, probably from the very beginning in schools until your parliamentary decisions.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully that answers to both of your questions, and you can go with
Thank you very much. About the mismatch, skills mismatch, it still exists also in Slovenia, but we are trying to reduce it as much as possible. Especially in okay, I will. Maybe I should say that there are two different streams of education among European countries. There are some countries like Austria and Netherlands who have developed but Slovenia tried many times more take those skills for
Check.
Test.
Yeah, that's working.
I'm really glad you noticed the difference between Slovakia and Slovenia. Yes, it's true. We are both slaves, Slavs, Slovenia. Well, we are not slaves, but Slavs. If you hear me right, Slovenia and Slovakia, there is a love in Slovenia. This is a very important difference. Yes, Slovenia. Thank you.
Bu Ida, maybe for the questions from Pak Luangisa. Okay. Yeah, I think your voice is quite audible.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think I can speak quite loud. Okay. Test. Pak Luangisa, thank you for your question. I hope I'm not really quite catch your question, but probably I think that Tanzania development on internet development actually I think the government of Tanzania have a very good support from European Union and the World Bank as well as Asian Development Bank for digitalization and digital trade in Tanzania. I think last year the World Bank distributed 150 billion dollar. But I think that in terms of our community network, I don't see your country actually on the list. But if you look at the Association for Progressive Communication, they are our partner called the African School on Internet Governance, APRISIC. So this is actually the group of NGOs and some academic and community activists who are willing to work with community to support the progression of internet, especially for those who live in rural and remote regions. So I think that we can discuss this later. Because I think that we have a concern and we set up a very good network amongst countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America regions to support a community, especially those who are not really reached out by the government. Because even though your government, for example, spends so much money for internet infrastructure, but infrastructure is not enough. There's so much more to put meaning for internet, and this is why we are working together to support the community to have positive impact after the internet connection. And I think next year we will get another project supported by Swedish government. Thank you.
Have problems. Okay, no, it's okay. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a kind of like a signal, or maybe Angga, you shouldn't take more questions for now. But anyway, we have some questions, and if it's allowed, is it possible that if we send the questions maybe to you after, and then we can discuss it after the formal session, and if it is also allowed, maybe we can share your contact address, because we have wonderful questions from the floor. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time, so I think we can share the three contacts from all the three speakers today. So if you have the questions, I will share it to them as well. So thank you very much. I think I will conclude today's special seminar. I should say that even though I'm moderating, I'm myself learning from what we have heard today. So thank you. Thank you for the very valuable opportunities. And I believe all participants, students, and also like all the faculty members from our faculty are very delightful to have listened to your presentation today. And I will give my microphone back to our Master of Ceremony today, and we may conclude to maybe taking some pictures first, because our Dean has another meeting with the Rector very soon. So if that's okay, I'll give to Ibu Nurul. Thank you, and we can have the photo sessions and exchanging gifts. Thank you. Good afternoon for everyone. Thank you.
Tes, tes.
Di sini ya, di sini aja di depan TV.
Termasuk penyerahan sertifikat ya?
Yang foto mungkin tamu dan perwakilan speakers ya, dan nggak usah semua banget.
Ya.
Atau bisa nggak kalau langsung di foto dari Aiman bisa difoto. Kalau dari sana bisa nggak?
Dari mana?
Ya, jadi duduk di sini aja.
Okay. Okay, we will take a picture together. So, please, the audience, speakers, and the guests, prepare yourself to take a picture. Buka aja berarti kan ya? Di sini kan? Di sini aja, di sini aja kan? Kena nggak? Oh bisa. Oh berdiri, semuanya berdiri. Oh, dia pengen dapat itunya. Oh. Okay, the first picture, take a picture with the audience. Oke, teman-teman mahasiswa, apakah bisa merapat ke sebelah kanan biar fotonya dapat semua? Bapak dan Ibu dosen, punten untuk merapat biar fotonya. Bu Erna kena nggak? Oke, Oke. Ini Oke, are you ready? Kena ya kan? Oke. Sini, Bu. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Hai. Thank you. Maybe some our guests want to take a picture. Okay. Apa?
Okay, maybe for all the guests and the speakers, we can take a picture together in front of the TV, maybe, Bu Nuril?
Okay.
Kang Imam, mending di mana fotonya? Di sini aja. Oh, okay, in front of the main tables. Oh, okay. Ibu Nuril, would you like to use this microphone? Much better. Okay, please all guests to join in front of the desks. Okay, for the other audience, you can enjoy the lunch outside this room. Enjoy your lunch, please. And thank you for coming and your attention. Okay. Oke. Oh, bawa ini. Gak apa-apa. Keren banget loh.
Itu kok pada foto? Kang, Bapak. Pak. Ayo.
Oke, untuk teman-teman yang ada di Zoom, dipersilahkan untuk meninggalkan ruangan. Terima kasih atas kehadiran dan partisipasi aktifnya. Sampai jumpa di pertemuan seminar internasional berikutnya. Terima kasih. Okay, for the last section, there is exchange gift and certificate for the speakers from Dean Faculty